Have you ever stared at a doll and felt like it was staring back? Tonight, we open the door to the shadows, where toys whisper, mirrors remember, and cursed objects crave a soul to claim. From Annabelle's sinister smile to Chucky's twisted laughter, these aren't just props, they're stories that breathe in the dark. So, turn off the lights, hold your breath, and let's journey together through the top 10 scariest horror movies about haunted dolls and cursed objects. Don't look away, they hate when you do. 1. Annabelle, 2014. A young couple's peaceful life turns into a waking nightmare after bringing home a doll possessed by something far darker than they could ever imagine. Have you ever looked at a doll so long that you swore it moved, just a little? A twitch of the head, a flicker in the eyes, maybe it's your imagination, or maybe it isn't. That's what Mia and John thought when they brought Annabelle home, a gift meant to celebrate new beginnings. She sat there quietly in her pristine white dress, her glassy eyes wide with innocence. But innocence, as they'd soon learn, is a mask the devil wears when he wants to be invited in. Strange things began to happen. Footsteps in the dark when no one was there, crayons rolling across the floor, a baby monitor crackling with whispers that didn't belong to any living soul. And always, that doll, sitting exactly where they swore they didn't leave it. You know that feeling when the air goes heavy, like the room itself is holding its breath? That's what it's like when Annabelle's near. It's not just fear, it's presence. A presence that doesn't watch you from the outside, but from somewhere inside the walls. The mirrors, the silence. Annabelle isn't just a haunted doll. She's a vessel, a door between our world and something ancient, patient, and merciless. When the cult came, when the blood spilled, she found her purpose. Every scream, every prayer, every heartbeat that faltered, she fed on them all. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Annabelle doesn't need to move to terrify you. She doesn't chase, she doesn't speak, she just exists. Because true evil doesn't need to show itself, it only needs you to believe it's there. When you look at her face, the cracks, the stains, the faint smile, remember this, somewhere out there, the real Annabelle still sits behind glass in a museum, sealed by prayers and warnings. But glass can crack, prayers can fade. So if you ever visit and feel a sudden chill brush against your neck, don't turn around. Because sometimes, the things we create to comfort us, the toys, the dolls, the keepsakes, are the ones that end up owning us. Would you still dare to keep a doll like Annabelle in your home? Or would you throw her away, knowing she might just find her way back? 2. Child's Play, 1988. A killer's soul takes refuge inside a children's doll, turning a beloved toy into a vessel of pure, murderous chaos. Have you ever seen a toy smile and felt like it knew something you didn't? That was the thing about Chucky. He wasn't just a doll. He was a promise that evil can hide behind the friendliest grin. It all started as every childhood story does, with a gift. Little Andy Barkley only wanted a good guy doll for his birthday. Bright red hair, denim overalls, that cheeky little smirk, a toy that talked, laughed, and played back. But that night, when the lights went out, the laughter didn't sound quite the same. You could hear him whisper, his voice, distorted, wrong, muttering something ancient, something that didn't belong in a child's bedroom. When the thunder rolled, you'd swear his eyes glowed just a bit too bright. And when the murders began, no one wanted to believe it. Who would? A doll couldn't possibly stab, or run, or kill. But Chucky wasn't just a doll. He was Charles Lee Ray, a serial killer who used black magic to cheat death. His soul trapped in plastic, his madness sealed inside synthetic skin. Imagine that. A murderer's spirit hiding in a toy box. A smile that never fades. A laugh that doesn't die. You tuck him in, but he never sleeps. You throw him away, but he always finds his way home. That's what made Child's Play so terrifying. It wasn't about blood or jump scares, it was about trust. About how the safest things in our lives, the toys, the gifts, the things made to comfort us, can turn on us without warning. And Chucky, he enjoyed it. The chase, the fear, the disbelief. Every time someone looked into those glassy eyes and whispered, "It's just a doll," he smiled wider, Because that's when he knew he'd already won. So if you ever find an old doll at a thrift store, with matted hair and a cracked grin, don't bring it home. Don't even touch it. Because somewhere, deep inside that cheap plastic shell, something might still be waiting. And if, in the middle of the night, you hear a faint giggle from the shadows, not quite human, not quite mechanical, don't look for where it came from. Because the moment you meet those blue eyes in the dark, it's already too late. 3. The Boy, 2016. A young nanny discovers her new charge is not a living boy, but a porcelain doll, one that may not be as lifeless as it seems. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like someone was watching you, even when you were completely alone? That's how Greta felt the first time she met Brahms. She had come from far away, ready to start a new job caring for a child in a quiet English mansion. The place was beautiful, cold, ancient, echoing with the kind of silence that seems to breathe. But there was something wrong. Something in the air that whispered warnings she couldn't quite hear. Then they introduced her to him, the boy she would be looking after. He was porcelain, perfectly sculpted, fragile, motionless, forever locked in a stare that followed her around the room. At first, she laughed. Who wouldn't? A doll replacing a child, it felt absurd. But the old couple who hired her didn't laugh. They spoke to Brahms like he was alive. They tucked him into bed, read him stories, left him meals, and every rule in that house revolved around him. Never leave him alone, never cover his face, always say goodnight. Simple rules, harmless, right? Until they weren't. Because soon, Greta began to notice things. The faint sound of footsteps behind her, the doll moving when she turned her back, objects shifting, whispers echoing through the halls. She thought she was losing her mind, until she realized the truth. Brahms wasn't just a doll. He was a secret sealed behind walls, wrapped in years of grief and madness. And here's the thing. Brahms didn't want to be ignored. He wanted to be loved, to be obeyed. Every rule broken was a punishment waiting to happen. Every moment of disbelief fed his anger. The Boy isn't just about a haunted doll. It's about loneliness that curdles into something monstrous. About the things we hide away so long they start to claw their way back into the light. You can almost hear him now, can't you? The faint creak of porcelain shifting in the dark. The sound of a child's breath where there should be none. So if you ever find yourself in a mansion too quiet for comfort, and you see a doll sitting alone on a chair, don't touch it. Don't move it, and whatever you do, don't break the rules. Because Brahms is always watching. And he hates being left alone. 4. Dead Silence, 2007. A grieving man returns to his hometown to uncover the dark legend of Mary Shaw, a ventriloquist whose cursed puppets still whisper from beyond the grave. Have you ever been in a room so quiet that your heartbeat felt too loud? That's the kind of silence that lives inside Raven's Fair, a silence that doesn't just fall. It kills. It started with a voice. A nursery rhyme whispered through the dark. Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. Jamie thought it was just an old local legend, a ghost story told to scare kids into behaving. But when his wife was found dead, mouth frozen in a scream, eyes wide open, the rhyme stopped being just a story. It became a warning. He returned home, chasing the echo of something that should have stayed buried. The old theater still stood, dust-covered and decaying, the stage where Mary Shaw had once performed her ventriloquist act. People said she could make her puppets breathe, blink, even think. They said she was cursed, that when she died, her dolls were buried with her, but not her voice. And when Jamie stepped into that theater, the air grew heavy with it. The puppets sat in rows, their painted smiles cracked, their eyes shining in the half-light like they'd been waiting all this time for him. That's when he understood what the rhyme meant. Mary Shaw didn't haunt with screams, she haunted with silence. Because in her world, the moment you scream, you die. Your tongue, your voice, your very sound, ripped away, claimed as her prize. What makes Dead Silence truly terrifying isn't the blood or the jump scares, it's the stillness. That paralyzing quiet before something unspeakable happens. It's the way your breath catches in your throat because you're too afraid to make a sound. too afraid that she might hear you. Mary Shaw's vengeance wasn't random. It was theatrical, precise. She turned fear into an art form, revenge into a performance. And her puppets? They're not just toys. They're her audience, her family, her army. So, if you ever find yourself walking through a place where even the wind refuses to move, and a faint voice begins to sing that old rhyme, don't respond. Don't even breathe. Because Mary Shaw is still listening. And in her silence, every sound is a sin. 5. Dolls, 1987. A group of strangers seek shelter in a storm and find themselves trapped in a mansion where the dolls are very much alive, and very much judging. Have you ever stared into a doll's glassy eyes and felt like it was silently measuring your soul? That's the feeling that creeps in the moment the storm begins in Dolls, 1987. It starts with thunder, the kind that sounds like the sky itself is tearing apart. A group of travelers, lost and desperate for warmth, stumble upon an old mansion in the woods. A kind old couple welcomes them in, smiling too kindly, moving too gracefully. The house feels ancient, timeless, as though it has seen far more than it should. And everywhere you look, dolls. Hundreds of them. Porcelain faces gleaming in the candlelight. Tiny hands folded neatly in their laps. They sit on shelves, staircases, window sills. Silent witnesses watching every move. You can almost hear them breathing if you listen long enough. At first, the guests laugh. They mock the collection, call it creepy, strange. But the house doesn't like mockery. Neither do its inhabitants. And as the night deepens, the laughter turns into screams muffled by thunder. Because in this house, the dolls don't just watch, they judge. Each one seems to sense something: cruelty, greed, selfishness. And for those who carry those sins, punishment comes quickly and without mercy. You see, the dolls aren't just toys. They're vessels, guardians, maybe even souls trapped inside porcelain shells, exacting justice on those who've forgotten what kindness feels like. There's something eerily poetic about it, the innocent judging the corrupt, the small punishing the powerful. The dolls don't kill out of rage, they kill out of balance. A moral code written in cracked paint and glass eyes. And for the few who are pure of heart, the house offers something different: protection. Almost as if it can tell who deserves to stay and who deserves to become part of its ever-growing collection. You can imagine it, can't you? Wandering through those endless hallways, hearing faint giggles in the dark, catching glimpses of tiny faces shifting when you're not looking. So if you ever find yourself lost in a storm, and a grand old house offers you shelter, take a moment before stepping inside. Look at the windows. Do you see a flicker of movement? A tiny silhouette watching you from behind the glass? Because if you do, it's already too late. The dolls have seen you. And they never forget a face. 6. May the Devil Take You, 2018. A young woman visits her estranged father's home, only to uncover a demonic pact that binds her family to a horrifying curse. Have you ever walked into a place that felt wrong the moment you crossed the threshold? Like the walls themselves were breathing, whispering names they shouldn't know? That's what it feels like stepping into Lasmana's house in May the Devil Take You. It isn't just old, it's hungry. Alfie never meant to come back. She thought she'd buried her past with her father's greed. But when he fell mysteriously ill, the family returned to the decaying villa, a place filled with secrets that refused to die. The air there felt heavy, almost sticky, as if soaked with something invisible, something waiting. And it didn't take long before the waiting ended. Doors creaked open by themselves. Black sludge oozed from the floorboards. Mirrors trembled without a touch. And deep beneath it all, a whisper, calling her name in a voice that wasn't human. You see, years ago, her father made a deal, a desperate trade of blood and soul for wealth and power. But demons are patient collectors. They wait until the debt matures. And now, they've come to claim what's theirs. What makes this story so chilling isn't just the gore or the screams, it's the inheritance of sin. The idea that the evil your parents invite in can outlive them. That you can be born into a curse you never asked for. Alfie didn't summon the demon, but it remembers her blood. And as the shadows creep closer, the line between reality and nightmare begins to blur. Every flicker of a candle reveals a face that shouldn't be there. Every mirror shows something standing just behind her shoulder. The villa becomes a living organism, feeding on fear, on regret, on the past itself. But here's the question that lingers long after the credits roll. When evil is bound by family, can you ever truly escape it? Because May the Devil Take You isn't just about possession, it's about legacy. It's about how darkness doesn't die when the deal ends, it passes on, waiting for the next generation to open the wrong door. So if you ever inherit an old house, untouched for years, and someone warns you never to go into the basement, listen. Because what waits down there isn't just dust and cobwebs. It's something your family left behind. And it's still waiting for you. 7. Ouija, 2014. A group of friends uses a spirit board to contact the dead, only to awaken something that refuses to be sent back. Tell me something, have you ever touched a Ouija board? Just your fingertips resting lightly on the planchette, waiting for it to move on its own? At first, it feels like a joke, a silly game played in candlelight. But the moment that pointer starts to slide, slowly, smoothly, as if guided by invisible hands, your laughter dies in your throat. Because deep down, you know it's not you moving it. That's how it began for Lane and her friends, a harmless seance to say goodbye to their friend Debbie. The air was heavy with grief and nostalgia, and the board seemed like a way to speak to her one last time. But the rules were clear. Never play alone. Never play in a graveyard. Always say goodbye. And they broke them all. The first thing they noticed was the whisper. Soft, almost tender, like a child learning how to speak. Then came the reflections in the mirror that weren't theirs. Doors opened, lights flickered, shadows moved where no one stood. The board had done what it promised. It connected them. But not to Debbie. Something older was listening, something that never forgot the sound of its own name. That's what makes Ouija so unnerving. It's not just a story about ghosts. It's about curiosity, and how the living can never resist the urge to peek behind the veil. It's about what happens when you invite something into your world, and realize you've given it permission to stay. And the spirit they awakened? It wasn't a whisper in the dark. It was a predator. It watched them through their own reflections, moved closer with every unanswered question. One by one, it claimed them, reminding us that communication with the dead is never a one-way conversation. The board is just wood and letters. Right? Harmless. Until you remember that it's the gateway that matters. The planchette doesn't move because of spirits. It moves because they finally found a way to touch you back. So, the next time someone brings out a Ouija board and dares you to ask, "Is there anyone here?" Don't. Because there's always something listening. And once it answers, it never forgets your voice. And when you wake up in the middle of the night, hearing the faint scrape of wood across your floor, don't look, don't speak. Just remember to say goodbye. Before it says it first. 8. The Possession, 2012. A young girl buys an antique wooden box at a yard sale, unaware that inside lies an ancient Jewish spirit known as a dybbuk, waiting to be freed. Have you ever bought something secondhand, an old mirror, a piece of jewelry, maybe a wooden box, and felt that strange pull, like it wanted you to take it home? That's how it started for M, a quiet young girl whose life was about to unravel, one whisper at a time. It was just a normal Saturday, sunlight, laughter, a yard sale on a suburban street. Among the forgotten junk sat that box. Small, elegant, with Hebrew carvings etched into its sides. Something about it called to her, almost like it chose her. Her father thought it was harmless, just an antique, but some things aren't meant to be owned. At first, the changes were subtle. M began to withdraw, her eyes darker, her voice quieter, food spoiled around her. The sound of whispers filled her room at night, soft, pleading, ancient. Then came the voice, the one only she could hear. It told her it wanted to be free. It told her she was special. That's when her father, Clyde, realized the truth. The box wasn't just a box. It was a dybbuk box, a prison for a restless spirit in Jewish folklore. Bound in wood and sealed with prayer to keep it from devouring the living. And now, it had found a way out, through his daughter. What makes the possession so chilling isn't the jump scares or the exorcisms, it's the heartbreak. Watching a father fight to save his daughter from something he can't see. Something that speaks through her, moves her body like a puppet. It's that moment when love collides with horror. When faith is the only weapon left. The Dybbuk doesn't roar, it whispers. It doesn't strike, it seeps. Feeding on grief, loneliness, and pain. It doesn't want to haunt you. It wants to wear you. And the scariest part? The Dybbuk box is real. There are people who swear they've owned it. They describe nightmares, shadows, sickness, strange voices calling from inside. Some say it's been passed from one unlucky owner to another, leaving a trail of dread behind. So, next time you're at a yard sale and something catches your eye, a box, a doll, anything that feels too quiet, too heavy, walk away. Because you never really buy things like that. They buy you. 9. Curse of Chucky, 2013. When a mysterious doll arrives at a family's home, the terror begins again, revealing that some evil never truly dies. You know that feeling when you open an old box from your childhood, and inside is a toy that used to make you smile? But now, somehow, it doesn't feel the same. Its eyes seem sharper, its grin a little too wide. That's how the curse of Chucky begins, quietly, with a smile that hides a scream. Nika lived in a large, lonely house, wheelchair-bound, yet strong in spirit. Her world was still shadowed by grief when a package arrived. No sender's name, no return address, just one thing inside. A red-haired doll wearing denim overalls, with freckles and a smile frozen in place. At first, it seemed harmless, a remnant from the past. But late at night, Nika swore she heard footsteps, tiny, uneven ones. She'd wake to find the doll in a different spot, its plastic hand still warm to the touch. And when her family began dying one by one, each death more brutal than the last, the truth clawed its way out of the shadows. This wasn't a toy, it was Chucky, the soul of a serial killer trapped inside a doll, reborn to continue his bloody legacy. You might think it sounds absurd, a killer doll. Really? But Curse of Chucky brings back the raw, claustrophobic fear of the original. It traps you in that creaking house where every door hides danger. Every reflection might show something moving behind you. It doesn't rely on gore, it lets silence do the killing. What makes Chucky terrifying isn't his knife, it's his laughter. That high-pitched giggle that echoes from the dark, mocking you because he knows you'll never see him coming until it's too late. He's not after random victims anymore. He's after family. His vengeance has roots. There's a moment, one that sticks with you, when Nika finally realizes that she's not being haunted by chance. She's been chosen, her bloodline tangled in Chucky's cursed story since the very beginning. And when she looks into those blue plastic eyes, she isn't just seeing a doll. She's staring into the face of her family's sins. So, here's a question for you. If a package showed up at your doorstep, no name, no note, just a smiling doll inside, would you throw it away? Or would you keep it, just for curiosity's sake? Because curiosity is exactly what Chucky waits for. And once you let him into your home, he never leaves. 10. The Conjuring, 2013. Based on true events, a family discovers their dream home is haunted by a dark, relentless force, and the only hope lies in two paranormal investigators who dare to face the unknown. Do you believe that evil can linger in the air? That it can attach itself to a place, or to you? If you said no, then you haven't heard what happened to the Perron family. It began in 1971, a cold, quiet farmhouse in Rhode Island. Roger and Carolyn Perron thought they'd found their forever home, a place to raise their 5 daughters and escape city life. But from the moment they stepped inside, something felt off. The air was heavy, the rooms whispered, even the family dog refused to enter the house. At first, it was small things, a missing picture frame, doors opening on their own, the faint smell of rot where there shouldn't be any. But soon, it escalated. Night after night, the house seemed to breathe, creaking, moaning, watching. The family began waking up at 3:07 a.m. every single night. That's when she would come. If you listen closely during those scenes in The Conjuring, you can almost hear it, the slow clap echoing from the shadows. That sound became the heartbeat of the haunting, a mocking rhythm that turned their home into a living nightmare. When the Perrons reached their breaking point, they turned to Ed and Lorraine Warren, real-life paranormal investigators who had seen things most people would never believe. Lorraine, a clairvoyant, could sense the house's pain, its story soaked in tragedy. She saw the spirit of Bathsheba, a woman who had once lived there, accused of witchcraft and child sacrifice. Her soul hadn't moved on. It had claimed the land. What makes The Conjuring so terrifying isn't just the jump scares, it's the feeling that what you're watching might have really happened. The cold spots, the invisible hands tugging at sheets, the bruises appearing overnight, these weren't movie effects to the Perrons. They were reality. There's a moment, right before the final exorcism, when Lorraine whispers, "The devil exists, God exists, and for us, as people, our very destiny depends on which one we elect to follow." That line lingers, because it's not just about ghosts. It's about belief. So, let me ask you. If the house you loved turned against you, if something unseen called your name in the dark, would you stay to fight? Or would you run, never looking back, hoping the evil doesn't follow you? Because in The Conjuring, the truth is clear. You can leave the house, but sometimes, the house doesn't leave you. Did you feel that chill just now, or was it something watching from the shadows behind you? These haunted dolls and cursed relics remind us that fear doesn't always wear a monster's face. Sometimes it hides behind porcelain eyes and silent smiles. If you made it this far, you're braver than most. But don't stop here. There are more dark stories waiting to be told. So, if you enjoyed this journey into the cursed and the damned, like, share, and subscribe, because next time, the horror might hit closer to home than you think.